Same.
there. Okay, let's set the scene. Picture this. It's about 7:00 p.m. El Gamolia district in Dakalia. You know, usual evening hum, traffic, maybe some chatter.
Right, and then suddenly it's just shattered by this single, absolutely terrifying sound, a scream, just pure panic.
People rush out onto their balconies looking down into the street, and what they see is, well, it's confusing. It's chaos.
Yeah, the source of it all is this young man, Ahmed Ashry. He's a newlywed, really married for 4 days, and he's completely losing it.
His family's all around him, frantically trying to kind of muffle him, hands over his mouth, trying to pull him back. But he keeps yelling it over and over, this bizarre, chilling claim, the Jinn killed my wife, the Jinn killed my wife. And standing there sort of watching it all unfold is this other figure, a local guy known as a, quote, spiritual healer.
Though most people apparently considered him a total charlatan. He's just there, passive, as Ahmed shouts about Jinn. It's quite a picture.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that's where we're diving in today. We're going deep into this incredibly short 4-day marriage between 19-year-old Amira and 25-year-old Ahmed.
Yeah, a relationship that started under really weird pressure, quickly turned violent, got shrouded in this folklore, this Jinn story.
And ended with a forensic discovery that just flips the whole narrative upside down, a real puzzle.
So let's trace it back. How did they even get to that point? Let's talk about Amira first. She was 19, from Damietta. Everyone described her as beautiful, sensible, well-behaved.
Right, very close to her family.
Yeah.
And apparently, she had pretty high standards, turned down quite a few potential husbands.
Then Ahmed Ashry comes along. On paper, he looks good. 25, owns a clothing factory, seems financially stable, lives in Dakalia.
But right away, during one of their first meetings, there's a bit of an odd moment. He casually mentions he's been married before.
Divorced.
Yeah, just drops it in there. And when asked, he just says, oh, it was fate. Wouldn't elaborate, wouldn't talk about it, which Amira apparently found unsettling. I mean, wouldn't you? But she decided to overlook it because, well, everything else seemed pretty good.
Okay, but then comes the timeline. This is where it gets really pressured. They'd initially talked about, a longer engagement. Take their time.
But almost immediately, Ahmed and his mother start pushing hard.
Yeah.
They want the wedding in just 1 month.
1 month? That's incredibly fast.
Exactly. Amira's parents thought it was, and I quote, very strange. They felt like something was being hidden, like they were trying to rush things through before anyone could dig deeper.
And they even offered up the money right away, basically saying, look, finances aren't an issue. We can do this now. Just steamrolling any objections.
And this is where Amira's reaction is. Well, it's baffling. Her parents have serious doubts. They're uncomfortable with the speed.
So she just agrees?
Yeah. The sources say she became suddenly will-less, agreed to the super fast timeline. It was completely unlike her, apparently. Took her family totally by surprise.
Wow. Okay, so the pressure's building, and then something else happens. Just after they agree to this rushed wedding.
Ahmed gets into some kind of huge street fight near Amira's family home, no less. And he ends up in jail for a month.
Okay, now surely the family sees this as a sign, right? Like, this is your chance, call it off.
You'd think so. They definitely pushed for it. But Amira absolutely refused. Insisted she would wait for him, for this guy she barely knew who is now in jail.
That level of commitment so fast, despite these massive red flags, it really makes you wonder what was going on in her head, or what pressure she felt under.
So she waits, he gets out, and the wedding day arrives, October 16th, 2021.
And the descriptions of the day are interesting. Amira and her family seemed joyful, happy, but there was this sense that the happiness was almost exaggerated, like over the top.
Like the performance, maybe, to cover up the weirdness of the whole situation.
Could be. But whatever it was, that performance seemed to crumble the second Amira was alone with Ahmed in their new apartment.
Yeah, after her family left, she apparently just broke down. Called her mother, called her sister, crying, said she was unhappy, scared that she didn't want to be there.
And then things escalated. Badly.
Ahmed's reaction to her fear, it wasn't comforting. He reportedly turned the TV volume way, way up. Max volume.
To cover the noise.
Seems like it. Because then he went into the room and violently beat her. His justification, that her fear was just deliberate pampering, and he tried to force himself on her.
Just horrific. And the very next morning, the severity of it becomes undeniable.
Amira is found crying, hysterical. She apparently even lost consciousness at one point. Her mother rushes over.
And takes her to the hospital, and this is where they get another shock.
Right. The hospital staff, the doctors, the nurses, they seem to know Amira already. They asked her mother how she was doing, like they were expecting something might happen. What was that about?
Well, the staff told the mother something shocking. Amira had already been there at dawn, just hours after the wedding ended. She'd arrived with severe bleeding and a large wound in her genital area. It was bad enough that it required 3 stitches.
3 stitches. On her wedding night. That is staggering.
Yeah.
Physical evidence of severe violence.
Absolutely. And her mother was furious, obviously. Accused Ahmed and his mother, saying they weren't safe. But
She didn't take Amira home. Even then, that's hard to understand.
it is, from our perspective. But the sources emphasize the immense power of social norms there. Taking her daughter back on day 1, even after that, it would have meant huge scandal, dishonor for everyone.
So it was a choice between her safety and social ruin.
Tragically, yes. And the fear of social ruin won out. Amira went back to the apartment.
And that's the moment, isn't it, when the narrative completely shifts away from documented violence.
And towards the supernatural.
Yeah.
Towards the Jinn, because when Amira's mother called Ahmed later, confronted him about the hospital visit, the stitches,
He denied everything.
flat out denied touching her. Instead, he launches this completely different story. He says after her family left, Amira started freaking out, seeing strange figures, shadows on the wall, claim there was a terrifying creature sitting right there on the bed next to her.
So overnight, the physical injuries just vanished from his story, replaced by possession.
Exactly. Mom Susa, possessed. He says that's why she was acting strange. And who does he bring in to confirm this?
The local spiritual healer, the charlatan.
You got it. And this guy immediately declares Amira is afflicted by a Jinn lover, a Jinn Ashik. And that's why Ahmed couldn't consummate the marriage. The Jinn was stopping him.
Wow, that's quite a defense. It explains the injuries away, potentially, and crucially, it explains why the marriage isn't being consummated, covering for him, maybe.
It's incredibly calculated, isn't it? He uses a deep-seated cultural belief of fear to create a smokescreen. It gives him social cover, blames Amira, and lets him stay in control. The charlatan just validates it all.
But Amira is still terrified. This doesn't actually help her. Days 3 and 4, she's described as withdrawn, silent, just broken.
Yeah, and Ahmed even brings the charlatan back a second time. Amira, meanwhile, is desperately pleading with Ahmed, just begging him to take her to her parents' house.
And eventually he does take her there.
He does. But it leads to another confrontation, this time with Amira's father. Ahmed insists, basically, she's my wife, she's possessed, it's my right and duty to cure her, and she's coming back with me.
And he wins. Again.
Again. The weight of his position as her husband, combined with this possession narrative, he takes her back to the apartment.
And that's the last time she leaves. Back in the apartment, she locks herself in a room. She manages to call her sister, crying.
And her last words over the phone,
Yeah.
just chilling. She tells her sister, I am finished. Then the line disconnects.
I am finished. And then what?
About an hour later, Ahmed calls Amira's family. The final update. He says Amira had finished herself. Why? Because the Jinn demanded it.
He sticks to the Jinn story right to the very end.
And then he runs out, runs into the street, screaming it for the whole neighborhood to hear. The Jinn killed my wife!
The family rushes over, obviously frantic. They find Amira on the bed. There's blood everywhere.
She's still alive, incredibly, but barely. Critical condition. They get her to the hospital, straight to the ICU.
And the doctor's there.
Yeah.
What do they find?
The full horror. 21 separate stab wounds, including several to her neck, plus a distinct injury on one of her hands.
21 wounds. And Ahmed, where is he during all this?
Gone. Vanished completely. Just disappeared while his critically injured wife is rushed to intensive care.
Which, understandably, looks incredibly suspicious.
To say the least. Amira's family was absolutely convinced he was responsible, especially given the earlier violence and now this disappearance. They formally accused him in the police investigation.
But the Jinn story is still out there. Did the police find the spiritual healer?
They did. They tracked him down and arrested him. And under questioning.
He cracked. Immediately. Confessed the whole Jinn thing was a total fabrication. A lie. He told the police the truth was much simpler. Amira was terrified of Ahmed, terrified of intimacy with him, especially after he beat her on the wedding night. So the possession story was just a cover, cooked up by him and Ahmed.
Exactly. An elaborate excuse he manufactured, probably paid for by Ahmed, to explain away the reality of the situation.
Okay, so the charlatan confesses. Meanwhile, Amira is fighting for her life. For 21 days.
21 days in the ICU. And during that time, she actually regained consciousness a few times, briefly, long enough to speak to her family.
And what did she say to them?
Her words were direct, very
Damn.
clear. She told them, Don't let Ahmed go. He's responsible for everything.
He's responsible for everything. That sounds like an accusation.
It absolutely does. But then, when the police came to question her officially...
Changed her story.
Completely. She reverted right back to Ahmed's narrative. Said she did see strange things, terrifying figures, and that she chose to end the ordeal herself to escape them.
Wow. So she accuses him to her family, but tells the police the Jinn story. Why would she do that? Fear, coercion, confusion.
It's impossible to know for sure. Trauma, fear, maybe even a belief forced on her. But it left the investigation in a very difficult place.
And then, after 21 days, she didn't make it.
No. Amira passed away. And at that point, the case really hinged on the autopsy, on the cold, hard, scientific evidence.
The objective facts, away from the Jinn stories and the contradictory statements.
Exactly. And what the forensic report revealed, it just contradicted almost everything. The family certainty, Ahmed's Jinn story, even Amira's own conflicting accounts.
How so? How could it ignore her dying words to her family saying Ahmed was responsible? The emotional weight of that seems huge.
It is huge, emotionally. But that's the core conflict here, isn't it? The legal system can't operate on emotion or suspicion alone. It needs proof, evidence of the actual act.
And the autopsy provided that evidence.
It provided 3 key pieces of forensic evidence that fundamentally changed the legal picture. First,
Yes.
Amira was still a virgin.
Still a virgin. So Ahmed hadn't assaulted her again after that first night. The cause of death wasn't related to sexual violence after the wedding night. It was purely the stabbing.
Correct. That confirms part of his story, oddly enough, that consummation hadn't happened. Second, the nature of the wounds themselves. All 21 stab wounds?
Yes. What about them?
Including the ones to the neck, which are often difficult to self-inflict convincingly. They were all consistent. They came from a single direction.
Okay, what does single direction mean in this context?
In forensic terms, it's significant. If someone is fighting off an attacker, you expect to see wounds from multiple angles, maybe hesitation marks, defensive wounds on the arms or hands as they try to plot.
But there weren't defensive wounds, apart from that one hand injury.
Apparently not significant defensive wounds matching a struggle against an attacker. The overall pattern, the single directionality, combined with the lack of classic defensive injuries. It pointed away from a struggle.
If not a struggle, then what?
Which leads to the third and most decisive finding from the forensic analysis. Medically, statistically, the wounds were determined to be self-inflicted.
Self-inflicted. All 21 wounds, including to the neck. That seems almost physically impossible.
It sounds unbelievable, but forensically, that was the conclusion the physical evidence pointed towards, that the injuries were inflicted by Amira upon herself.
That is a massive twist. So the science directly contradicts the narrative of murder, profoundly. You have this intense emotional reality, the violence, the fear, the husband vanishing, the dying accusation, and then you have the scientific reality derived from the autopsy.
Yeah.
And legally, the science holds sway. So what was the outcome for Ahmed?
Based purely on that conclusive forensic evidence from the autopsy report, Ahmed Ashry was released. There wasn't the evidence to charge him with her death.
Released, despite everything. And the charlatan.
He was convicted, but only of fraud for peddling the fake Jinn story and exploiting the situation, not for anything related to the death itself.
So we're left with this huge gap. The community, the family, probably many listening right now, feel certain it was murder. But the forensic facts led to his release. It highlights the difficult role of the legal system. It has to follow the evidence and the law, not gut feelings or suspicions, however strong they might be. The contrast is stark. The emotional accusation versus the scientific conclusion. But the science, while explaining how she died, doesn't really explain why. The forensics cleared Ahmed legally, but it leaves this massive unanswered question hanging in the air.
Absolutely. The forensic report might close the legal case, but it opens up a deeper, more troubling question that it can't answer.
Which is,
what kind of unimaginable psychological or emotional pressure cooker must a young woman be in someone described as sensible, loved, with her whole life ahead to reach a point where inflicting 21 stab wounds on herself seems like the only way out, especially just days into a marriage that started with fear and violence?
Yeah. The Jinn story was a lie, a cover for abuse and control. We know that now.
Right. But the actual act, that extreme level of self-harm, disguised perhaps even to herself by this narrative of supernatural attack, it points to an absolutely terrifying level of internal distress. Something went profoundly wrong, far beyond just the failed marriage or the husband's actions.
It really underscores a different kind of tragedy hidden beneath the crime story itself, doesn't it?
It does. It screams to the need for recognizing deep mental and emotional crises and the need for real help, not charlatans and folklore used as weapons. That, perhaps, is the final hidden truth this case forces us to confront.